Are you constantly struggling to keep your client projects on track? Or maybe you just feel like you and your client are not on the same page, both with the design and the project. Maybe they're handing revisions in late, or maybe you're waiting on the copywriting for the website that's due next week. Well, don't worry, you're not alone. As graphic designers, a lot of us deal with this, and it really comes down to the project management. But it not only comes down to the project management, it also comes down to the actual communication with your client. But not only the communication, most of the time, this comes down to poor client management or not having a clear set timeline, and most of all, not having great communication with the client. So in this video, I'm going to share with you guys the most common poor client management things I see in the graphic design world. If you want to continue to watch this mini series, definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next one. This chaos can lead to underpayments or stress, and worst of all, can even hurt the relationship with you and the client. But don't worry, you're not alone. A lot of graphic designers have gone through this, and I have as well. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the ways that you can avoid these project delays, have really good client management and project management, and overall the things that might be causing that poor client management with your project. My biggest rule of thumb is to cover every interaction of the project from the very beginning, initial stage of talking to your clients, to the very end, which is the delivery. We have to stop doing vague communication with our clients, leaving things up in the air, and not having those boundaries in our business and in our project. So that is why it's really important to set those boundaries straight in the very beginning, which brings me to my first tip. So the first step is to create that streamlined process. After you have your process, it's time to create your forms, your agreements, which is your contracts, and also having them select the proposal from the very start, having them sign off on that, and having them submit a deposit. This part of the process is crucial. It really sets the stage for your professionalism as a business owner or designer. It also makes sure that they know how much it's going to cost, and also if there is additional revision charges, it'll also be listed out in the contract. So this is your time to really set everything clear, to have super clear communication from the very beginning to save any issues down the line. But definitely make sure that you get signatures before you even begin, because you want to make sure that they sign off on the things that they're agreeing on. Okay, so now that you have the forms and everything ready to send over to the new clients, now to save you even more time, this is when I typically recommend a CRM system. I use Dubsado because this is a really easy way for me to automate and put all those forms and invoices and contracts within a platform that'll automatically send that out for me. So I don't have to worry anymore about sending invoices, reminding of their payments, also reminding them to sign the contract before I begin, and all the preparation forms. So we can say goodbye to sitting on our desks for hours emailing our clients, because systems like these will automate it for you, make it so easy to get time back in your schedule, and also give the client constant communication throughout the project, which they always will appreciate, and it just keeps them just on the same page with you in terms of like what's going on and where you're at in the project. So you can even set up workflows and automated reminders as to where you're at in the project, or just checking in on them. So I highly recommend setting up a system like this to save you time and also to really have a great client process. If you want to learn more about a CRM system, I do have a course on Dubsado with my good friend Moya, who is a specialist in Dubsado. We teach all things on how to set up the workflows, how to automate things. So definitely check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about this step. Now, in addition to communicating the overall project, the timeline, the contracts, your agreements, your boundaries, after communicating all of that, it's also important to communicate and get a good system for the design feedback. When the design feedback part of the process comes around, this can be the part where it gets a little bit tricky, because sometimes clients feel a little bit nervous to say things that they feel might come off mean, or it can just create a little bit of confusion as to when they're supposed to give you all their thoughts and feedback. So during the design process, I make sure that they know that they can tell me everything and anything that they do or don't like. That way I can take it and make it better so that we can move on to the next phase of my branding process. Now, I right now in my business have 4 phases of my branding process. This is a little bit different than the website design process, but I always like to make sure that after each phase of the process, I'm getting signed off approval that we're ready to move on to the next phase, because I've had this happen many times, and I'll tell you guys a little story about it where I've had clients come back to phase 1 after we're already on phase 4, which is a delivery phase. So you want to make sure that you're getting all that feedback, that they know it's time to share their thoughts, and also giving them the opportunity to sign off to approve the next phase of the project. Giving your clients all the opportunities to share their thoughts, their feelings, and to have communications coming from them and from you will just allow for a lot of success in the project. And at the end of the day, we want success stories from all of our clients. So you just want to make sure that the communication side of the business is solid, because that is typically where I see poor client management and potentially unhappy clients down the line. Now, let me tell you a quick little story about a client where I did not have good client project management, and it created a lot of stress for me. This client reached out and I was so excited to work on the project. We were going to be doing branding and website. I didn't really have a lot of boundaries set in the beginning. I was so excited to work on this project that I even discounted it a little bit. So I already started kind of on an iffy note, because I typically don't do that. Usually the clients that really want to work with me are willing to invest in what the project is. However, that's how the project started, which was fine. I signed up for it. I agreed to it as well. But once we got started into the branding phase of the project, the mood board was approved with no feedback, no revisions, no edits. I just got the go ahead to continue on. However, when I got to the logo phase, we went through over 15 fonts, and typically my branding process, I only allow for 3 revisions at max, but I just got the sense that my client wasn't happy with anything I was sending over. So I decided to take matters into my own hands, search for fonts, and give them tons of options without letting them know that we passed the rounds of revisions. So all of these little things I'm mentioning were definitely things I could have set really clear from the start and had those boundaries in place, and also made sure that they saw that on the contract and really just bring that to the forefront of the communication and attention. However, I worked on this project for much longer than we had planned, which sometimes happens. Timelines sometimes aren't always perfect, but this one was definitely dragging out. I also felt like every time I sent over a design, they were showing their entire family, which then would leave us with tons of feedback and no clear path ahead and no clear direction on how we wanted to work with the branding. So I personally feel like I could have, like I said, set those boundaries straight. I could have communicated why I chose the fonts I did. I could have, really educated the client a little bit more on the choices in the design. However, I didn't have that, and I look back on that and I feel like I could have managed it better, which is why I'm making this video now to talk about the things that I would do different and that I am implementing now with my projects. But that project, we ended up actually changing the whole logo. The website project was canceled and it was a bit of a bummer. However, I do feel like every single situation like this, I learned something from it, and it was a big learning lesson that having your project management and all of the communication super clear is absolutely crucial and important. So one of the things that I also do on top of all these things I've mentioned is having a really nice outlined preparation form for the branding and the website. Specifically for website design, this was so important to have everything prepared before I even begin. And once I started to have those clear set tasks and a list of things and the order the things are going to be happening, my mind became clear, the projects became clear, and everyone was just really satisfied and happy. And I had way more success stories when I had a very clear set timeline and a clear set of deliverables. So I really hope that you kind of learned something new about client management or project management. But if you want to learn more about stuff like this, I am starting a community called Curated Collective Co. And I do have a wait list right now. Be sure to join the waitlist so you can actually be the first to know when I have my founding member pricing. It's very affordable, so definitely don't miss on the founding member prices and that early bird sale. I'm so excited. That'll be launching beginning of August, so definitely get on that waitlist so you're the first to know. But if you want to learn more about the 5 biggest mistakes I see graphic designers make, then be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this mini series. But before you go, if you want to hear about some ineffective marketing strategies that might be taking time away from your schedule, then be sure to check this video out right here. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.